Welcome back to the series where I test drive the development of an exercise tracker, which is one of the projects for the backend and API certificate from Free Code Camp. It's where I record myself like this is a live stream, only it's not. And hopefully this is helpful to you while you watch me make mistakes and stumble and make some bad decisions and maybe change my mind on some decisions. This is much a learning experience for me, as hopefully it ends up being for you. So let's just jump on in to our project here. So for those of you coming in late, I am here in the backend development and APIs section, and I'm doing the exercise tracker. And if I go and grab the solution link, which is my app running on Heroku over here, and I just drop it in and I run these tests, you'll see we got a few of these. So in the last video, we were working on getting these tests down here to pass. So basically a post to /API/users, give it a user ID, and /exercise. So we are creating an exercise through our API. And basically we got going with a test. And I'm gonna go over here into our code editor. I did forget to make a commit in the last video, so we're gonna do that before we make any more changes. But yeah, let's get this terminal out of the way. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna keep the snapshot around. I was thinking about it, and I don't know if this is the best idea in a unit test. I kind of like them for API tests, but let me explain what we did here. So yeah, we created a new function called create exercise, and we kind of test drove, or we set up a test here anyway. Actually, I already forget if we had that passing yesterday or not. I think we did. Let me run the test and see. Oh no, that's actually where we left off. We just stubbed out this object. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna get this test to pass. So we have this function, but we haven't implemented anything in it yet. I think I'm just gonna leave it as a snapshot for now. Maybe in the future, I'll change our testing strategy here. The next thing that I want to do in this video is I want to wire this up to an actual endpoint. So right now we're just testing the function that's going to do the work of quote unquote creating an exercise, which we're kind of faking for now. But then we're going to wire that up to a real endpoint. And once we get that far, we'll deploy this thing, and we should see, I think, 2 more tests in Free Code Camp pass. So let's see. Let's make a commit first. What did we do exactly? Oh, I added a blank prettier RC just to get some default code formatting in this project. And for those of you don't know how to get that working, simply adding the file isn't enough. I do actually have the prettier code formatter plugin installed in VS Code, so that's why that's working. And if you look at the actual file, it's blank. So this is basically just saying whatever the default prettier settings are, just do that. Not normally how I set up my projects, but I'm not super opinionated about how my code looks, even though sometimes I like to joke that I'm disgusted by semicolons. It's not actually really true. So we added, let's see, prettier RC. And in server.js, what happened over here? Oh, it was mostly formatting, but I think we did stub out the create exercise function, and then this is just the snapshot. So I'm gonna just add all this, and we'll just say add test for create exercise. It's mostly what it is. Not 100% accurate with that commit message, but that's okay for me. I don't want get users open, I want get exercise open, so let's do that. Get exercise. Oh, how come I can't control P that file? Hey, did that just say that there's a plugin for snapshot files? Is that because .js.snap? Sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but okay. I should have clicked the little Maybe it'll give it to me again when I open this file. No, that's okay. And the reason I can't open up the create exercise is because what did I call the unit test? I was gonna try to control P that, but I kind of forgot what I called it. Oh, I did call it create exercise. No, that's a snapshot test. That's a spec file. This is what I want. All right. So yeah, basically an exercise takes a description, a duration, optionally a date, but we're not gonna write the test for that yet. And basically, because we're using a snapshot, which I'm not sure if that's really the best thing to do in a unit test, but we're just gonna be watching the response come back. And as soon as we decide that, oh, that's the response we expect, then we kind of tell Jest that that snapshot is good to go. And that becomes a reference for all test runs in the future. So as long as that response matches the snapshot, it'll always be green. And yeah, so let's we'll get Jest running on watch mode. It already is, and we can go to create exercise. So basically, all I'm gonna do for now, and for those of you jumping in late, I'm only implementing as much as the tests force me to implement. So I have a strong feeling that means I'll actually get all these tests in free code camp, like on the tests that are actually on the website, to pass without even using a database. So I think my challenge is, if I can get that far, is to write more tests to drive the behavior, or basically make it inconvenient for me to not use a database, so that I'm forced to make this application more robust, but allow the tests to drive that robustness. So we're gonna do let me just go back into free code camp to look at a reference here. I want to see, so they expect the username. Oh, so this is where we might get into an issue, because right, it's not just the ID of the user, it's actually the name. So I actually have to do a lookup. Not that I'll need a database necessarily, but it might start to get to a point where it's annoying to not just use a database. But let's see what we can do. So yeah, I already am hitting an issue with this part, because if I want the username, basically I have this array of users somewhere in this file here, which for now is just an array of strings, I think. Oh no, it's an array of username ID, right, but the IDs are all the same. So this is where I might actually have to start making the IDs real, so that I can do a lookup in the users array for the ID that's coming in the request here. Like basically I want to do like like a users dot, I think it's basically find or find index. Sometimes I forget the difference. Find index is what returns the, so I don't know if I want the index of it. Users dot returns the value of the first element in the array where the predicate is true. So I want the actual, I don't just want the index, I want the value of it so that I can get the username. So in users, I'd want to do something like, what I guess, x dot underscore ID is equal to args dot, what are we passing this as? Oh, just user. Should probably call this user ID. So yeah, user ID. So whenever we find a match, basically we just want to grab the username off of that user object. And let's see, the way that we are setting up our test, I create a user. This part of it actually technically would work. So this is a situation where I'm gonna have to write smarter tests to force myself to actually have unique IDs and not just give the same ID to every user. But yeah, for now, I should at least have this coming back successfully. So let's go look at the Jest suite. And you can see like it did actually successfully get the username of test guy off of here. So yeah, it's doing it. It's grabbing the test guy. All right, let's keep moving along here. So we've got the if I go back to the example, we got the username. Now I want to bring description and duration. So that part is just literally, let's go description, which is going to be args dot description. You know, the other thing I can do here too to be a little lazier is actually just spread the arguments that are coming in. So I could just do user ID description, or not spread, I guess, destructure, sorry. User ID description, duration was the other one, and then date, which is technically optional. And can you give defaults when you're destructuring args in JavaScript? I actually don't know. Or if I did know, I forgot. Let me just jump into like REPL it really quick. A new one. Let's do foo, and then we'll destructure bar baz. So would it be like equals this. Hang on. So if I go foo, and I just said I gave it a value for bar, let's say, what happens? Well, one, I get undefined for some reason, and then I do get default. Oh, right, it would have to be an object. What am I doing here? So yeah, it would be like bar. Okay, so that does actually work. So I could go date equals new. You know what? I'm not actually even going to take that as an argument yet. We'll just do this one thing at a time. So description can actually be like this. So by one thing at a time, I mean like our test doesn't dictate whether this function takes a date or not. That'll be like another test. Like right now, all the test expects is that there is a date that comes back. So once I have this test passing, we can do like another test to force that date's kind of like an optional thing. I'll just keep that REPL open to the side just in case. But yeah, it was username, description, duration, date. The spec says that it just defaults to whatever the current date is if one's not supplied, and then we need an ID. So we'll go date will be new date dot toString. And I don't think toString is actually the format that we want. Not great at date formats, so like I don't know without Googling how to get this, but I'm just kind of we'll worry about that when we're ready to deploy to Free Code Camp, and I'll figure it out then. But for now, I think this is basically the shape that I want. Let me just look at what Jess is doing in here. So what? It's unhappy because args is not defined, and that's just because I changed the way I'm accessing that data. So let's just fix that. So we get an object. It's got a date that is today, and it's got a description that comes from the payload, and it's got the duration from the payload, and the username, which is basically the ID of the user that we created, which obviously this is going to break down eventually. We'll have to drive out some smarter behavior where this data actually gets stored somewhere. But that is the response we expect from that function, given the arguments that we called it with. So we can do, I think it's U in jest. When you're in watch mode, you just type U, and that'll update the snapshot. Yeah, so it's just, you just type U. And if I go over to our snapshot here, you can see this was the old one. So it deleted that, and now we get this. So as long as calling that function with that data returns this response, it'll always be green. And the first problem you can see is that that will fail literally the next time I run this, right? So it might even be, if it's in watch mode, how do I think it's A to trigger a rerun. It should already fail. Because the date's changed since the last time I recorded the snapshot. So I think that is actually gonna be the thing we fix. And I know that I said that we were gonna get this kind of deployed to free code camp. But I don't think we're actually gonna make it that far. Pushing over 15 minutes already. So this is the main thing we're gonna fix is how do you test a date? We basically want the date to be whatever the current date is, but the current date is constantly changing. How do you set up that expectation? Well, the answer is that you have to mock whatever the thing is that you're getting a date from. There's a lot of different ways you could do that. One is you could pass date as an argument to the function that you're testing, and then that gives you a way to kind of fake it inside of your test. But because we're using jest, there is another way. And I always kind of forget the exact syntax for doing this. So it's something that I just Google, but just say mock date in jest. Usually you'll find something on Stack Overflow that'll show you pretty much exactly how you want to do it, which is just yeah, just some fixed time. Doesn't really matter what it is. So this is gonna make date.now a mock function in jest, and that function is always gonna return the same date. Or let's see, this one I think is similar. Someone says here's a prettier method of doing it. So date.now function. Oh, he just updated it like that. And I don't know. I was gonna say, I don't know if that actually works. Maybe this is it. Use fake timers. Vaguely, actually, I remember I had to do this. Fake timers. And then you can just set whatever the time is. Let's see. I'm just gonna read the docs on this actually. Oh, you know what? This is another way I've done it before too, which sounds like this is actually maybe an old way of doing it, because Jess might support it. But basically, if you set the spy, maybe. Let's look at the docs. Setting this value to fake or modern enables fake timers for all tests by default. Fake timers are useful when a piece of code sets a long timeout. Let's see. Legacy. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna try what this guy said here. Do this fake timer thing. So we'll copy this and go back. Let's see if this works. So if I go basically right here, set up this fake timer, and we run those tests. What I want to see is that the actual date that came back was like, so let's see, December 31st, 2019, and every time I run it, it should always be that date, right? So now that this is always the same date, we're basically tricking like the date object into thinking that date.now is this, and it'll always be this for the purposes of our tests. So I can type U to update that snapshot, and we can go over and look at our snapshot, which is here. Get all this stuff out of the way. So now our date is always going to be this. The equivalent of date.now will always be this time, no matter how many times we run this test, whether we run it tomorrow or next week, which means it'll always be green as long as we don't do anything that modifies any behavior in our implementation. So this is awesome. I think we can say that we got, just say, yeah, implement create exercise function. And then how are we doing for time? It is we're about 20 minutes in, so I think that I didn't get as far as I wanted in this video, but you know, the whole point of this is to get some practice, and I think this is why it's important to have either a side project or just stuff that you're coding for fun, because you know, there's no pressure. You can move slow, you can take your time, you can try different things, and this is how you learn and how you get better at your craft. You don't get better by rushing, right? So I'm pretty happy with what we got done here. Kind of, it was a little bit of an oversight that I forgot we needed to mock the date here, but we caught it after we got this going. And I'm really happy with the path we're going of just, you know, writing a very small amount of code to get these tests to pass. It's surprising how far this can actually take you, and I think the end result is that the tests will be a lot more robust in the end. Because if you are following this pattern, like this TDD pattern, red-green refactor, it forces you to write a test for every edge case that you can think of. And if you write that test first and then you solve the implementation by the end of it, you just know you have like really great coverage, not just line coverage, but like you've really thought out all the edge cases and all the different ways that your application can be used. So I'm really happy with where this is going. I think in the next video, we should probably be able to finally wire this up to the API and get it to pass, I think. Let me take a look at this quick before we end the video. Yeah, the thing is it's not, these tests aren't actually validating that. Yeah, I'm curious what ID gets passed here actually, because where there will be an issue, let's actually watch. I can find out right now. Let's watch the network request here, and I'll run these tests. Basically, what I'm thinking, I keep talking in half sentences, but what I was thinking is, if this creates more than one user, that's where our logic becomes a problem, right? Because if every user is ID 123, that users.find call is just going to get the first user where the ID is 123, and by coincidence, that might be the data that FreeCodeCamp is expecting in these tests. Excuse me, but obviously that would just break if that's not what they expect. So let's say that I completed it, and I can just see here, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm not sure how to undo. How do I just, oh, there we go. Yeah, let's just get this all the way out here. So where are, we've got, is this a post? These are all posts, right? Every single, oh no, that's a get. But yeah, it's creating more than one user. There's 2 users created right there. Let's see, that's another post. another one. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely creating more than one user, which I don't know what ID it passes for. Let's see, this one should be a failure post API ID exercises. Let's go. Where's the first exercises one here? Oh, it actually passes 1, 2, 3. What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh no. So I don't know. The tests on the Free Code Camp website just might not be robust enough to force us down a path where we even need. Not only do we not need a database, I don't even think we have to like do anything that sort of simulates relationships. I think we can just hard code 1, 2, 3 every time. But we'll see in the next video. Anyway, I'm done exploring that and kind of rambling. Thank you so much for following along. If you like this series and you like these videos, please give them a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of this, subscribe. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.